silence for a few days. Then we got the message back. LS had his computer taken away from him for the entire summer and had also been lying about his age. He was only 11, I think. His parents were fucking livid with him, and he surely hated the next few months of his life. No one fucks with my daughter. Cousin asked for my old laptop, then try to make me buy her accessories. Harass my daughter on Minecraft? You can't hide from me. So, my daughter, who was about 8 at the time, was really into Minecraft, as most kids are these days. Also desperately wanting to join the YouTube/Let's Play culture. I had installed some screen recording software that would let her make videos of the game she was playing so she could later upload them to YouTube. Anyways, one day, I'm minding my own business when I hear her quietly sniffling over on the computer. I asked her what was wrong, but she didn't want to tell me, so I let it go, but decided to keep an eye on her. A few minutes later, I discovered what was happening. Someone was harassing not only her, but also all the other kids playing on whatever server she was on. This kid, we'll call him Little Shithead, or LS, was saying shit about how he was going to rape my 8-year-old daughter. She told him how old she was hoping he would stop, how he was going to hack in her IP and steal all her info, swearing profusely, remember, this is a game for kids, etc., etc. By this time, I got my fiancée involved, and she was also obviously quite upset at what a little shit this kid was being. We realized that our daughter had been recording the entire incident, and a plan began to form. I started by Googling LS username. There were several hits immediately, the most interesting of which involved a page where he was publicly applying to be a mod for a server on Minecraft. I was able to learn a lot about this little POS. He claimed to be 15, likes hockey, used to live in Toronto, but now lives in Florida. But the bombshell was easily his Skype contact info. It was literally first name dot last name. I know your name now, you little shit. So I head over to Facebook and search for the name. Nothing. On a hunch, I searched for just the last name, while narrowing my results to only the state of Florida. Several dozen hits. So I have to start combing through each one until I find what I was looking for. A middle-aged man with the same last name, whose profile indicates he was born in Toronto and now lives in Florida. I found your dad, you little shit. So I sent him a message on Facebook asking if he had a son named First Name who goes by his username on Minecraft. That confirmed I had the right guy. So my wife begins telling the dad everything that LS was saying to my daughter, and we sent him the recorded video as proof. Radio silence for a few days. Then we got the message back. LS had his computer taken away from him for the entire summer and had also been lying about his age. He was only 11, I think. His parents were fucking livid with him, and he surely hated the next few months of his life. No one fucks with my daughter. Cousin asked for my old laptop, then tried to make me buy her accessories too. A little context. I'm 23F, and my cousin, also 23F, has always had a very I deserve everything attitude. I've tried to be nice over the years, but she has this annoying habit of taking favors way too far. A few weeks ago, she texted me asking if she could have my old laptop. I don't use it anymore, it's just sitting in my closet, and I figured why not. I told her she could have it. Then the next message popped up asking if I could also buy her a laptop case and a mouse, because the one she had was ugly. I literally stared at my phone for a solid minute and told her no. She was getting the laptop, but she could buy her own accessories. Her response was that since I was giving her the laptop, it wasn't really usable without those things, and that she shouldn't have to spend money on something I was giving her. Reddit, I can't even. She's literally asking me to give her something I don't need and pay for brand new accessories because she thinks they're ugly. I ended up just handing her the laptop without the accessories. She got quiet for a day. Then when we met in person, she gave me a passive-aggressive thanks and immediately started complaining about her old mouse. Am I crazy for thinking this is ridiculous? I felt like saying I already gave you a laptop, what more do you want from me? But I didn't want to start a huge fight. Seriously, how do people get this bold? Karen stole the wrong seat. My son and I are flying out. I booked the aisle and window in case the flight wasn't full. If it was full, we would let the middle person choose aisle or window. We get to our row, and there is someone in the window. We check our seats. She looks away, pretending she doesn't see or hear us. It's fine for us, since we were going to take the middle seat anyways. Then this guy comes and says he has the middle seat in our row. I explain we have the aisle and the window, but this woman sat down first. Turns out she had the middle seat on the other side. Now she's squished between two large dudes. She didn't even steal the correct side. Retail really can be like that. I, 50F, have seen some videos where retail workers talk about entitled customers, and as someone who worked retail in my early adult years, I can attest to it. I worked in a chain shoe store when I was 18 to 23. I was assistant manager by the second year, so was often in charge of closing the store with at least one other person. Our routine was to start some of our other closing duties 30 minutes before close, straightening merchandise, putting stuff away, etc. So when we locked the doors, all we had to do was vacuum and count the drawer. One night a customer, we will call her EC, comes in 5 minutes before closing. I politely let her know that we close in 5 minutes, and she says, "No, you close when I am done, and you can't make me leave." She proceeds to browse, try on shoes, makes a mess, and is seemingly deliberate about taking her sweet time. We can't count the drawer with her there, but we need to get the closing duties done, and we are worried because the company really hates overtime. So we start vacuuming. We are supposed to be out 30 minutes after closing. EC gets upset, tells us we can't do that. She is still shopping. We tell her we closed 30 minutes ago, and we really need to have her complete her shopping. She finally decides she doesn't like anything, so leaves her mess, doesn't purchase anything, and walks out. We obviously got out late and had to explain to the manager the next day why. If you think retail workers are making these stories up, they aren't. People are just like that sometimes. Coworker tried to make me tone down my outfit because she didn't want to be outshined. Spend hours picking a bold outfit from the mall for a business meeting. It's a function kind of that happens every 6 months where there are clients and the whole staff. I showed what I brought for the function to everyone who were asking, "What are you wearing?" But then one of my coworker asked me to tone it down, so I wouldn't outshine anyone, basically outshine her. I smiled, and I had made up my mind that I will wear it anyway. Function went perfectly. Clients and leadership noticed my work and appreciated, not her jealousy. Sometimes the best response to entitlement is just doing your thing. Parent leaves baby in her car, acts like I'm the problem. So today, I saw a baby left alone in the car while I was in the grocery parking lot. I couldn't risk it. How was I supposed to know how long the baby had been in there, or what could happen? So of course I called the police. She comes running out of the store when she sees them by her car, apparently located by announcing her plate over the store PA. And then she's fuming. Her excuse? My baby was asleep. I didn't want to wake him up. I was only out for 5 minutes. Yeah, sure. You never know what can happen to a baby in 5 minutes. But what really got me was the nasty looks she kept giving me while the officer was reprimanding her, like somehow this was my fault. The nerve! Some people really think the world revolves around them, even when a baby's safety is at stake. Highly entitled neighbor. My husband, 67Y, Mike, unfortunately has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and has great difficulty with his speech. He has a hard time getting his words out to express himself. Our former neighbors started renting out their property about 2 years ago. Our current neighbors have been there approximately 6 months. Their lease directs that they're responsible for their own lawn care. We own a very nice zero-turn mower. Mike absolutely loves mowing our lawn. We have met them, and they have been made clearly aware of Mike's diagnosis and difficulties. At the beginning of the mowing season a few months ago, the neighbor, Sue, 70Y/F, saw Mike cleaning our mower. She walked right up to him and said, "Hey, Mike, we don't have a mower, and we're thinking you could mow our yard when you mow yours. We'll buy the gas for ours." Not a word about paying for his effort and time, or the wear and tear or maintenance on the mower. No mention of what happens if there's damage to the mower on their property. Nothing beyond paying for their gas. Mike's response was a few stutters, but he couldn't form a response. This nutty Sue then knocks on my door and informs me to remind Mike to begin mowing her lawn each time he mows ours because he just agreed to do it for the cost of gas for theirs. I gave a rumbling laugh and set her entitled ass straight. No one takes advantage of my husband. Entitled neighbor tries to claim to my delivery package is theirs. Thank you everyone who has said, get Ring Cam and security cameras. I already have security cameras on my property that send my phone footage whenever motion detecting sensors detect suspicious activity. I got home from work a little while ago and got a notification that my package was almost here. I go to wait for my delivery, and when I get there, the truck is there. The driver knows me, and as I'm signing for my package, my entitled neighbor storms over, but keeps a distance and demands the package the delivery driver has. If you've read my past stories, this is the same neighbor who has a restraining order on her for me. She tried having her sister and her sister's kids trespass on my property, etc. She hasn't learned her lesson. The driver tells her that it's not her package, and he can't give her the package. She continued to demand the package, saying if she doesn't get given a shield, just storm over and grab it. I tell her if she takes another step forward, she's breaking the set number of how close the restraining order says she can get near me. She doesn't care and marches over then screams, "Because of you, I'm separated from my husband and heading for divorce." I told her if she hadn't acted the way she's been acting towards me, her husband wouldn't be doing such a thing because he grew tired of her entitled behavior. She eventually went off back to her house. Update: I got the delivery driver's name and number so they can prove they witnessed neighbor break the restraining order, then say I call the police. The last thing I heard while being outside a few minutes ago was a loud scream of, "I didn't break any fucking restraining order." Update the next morning, August 30th, 2025. I went down to my mailbox, and entitled neighbor's husband walks over. He's not on the restraining order, and the loud scream she did was her yelling at the police. As a result, she got herself arrested for breaking the terms of the restraining order, assaulting an officer, and for resisting arrest. She just tried to call him a few minutes earlier asking for bail, but he told her he's not paying for that. Update September 4th, 2025. The wife has been sentenced to 1 year and 210 days in prison, with her receiving a year for assaulting the officer who said she was under arrest. Resisting arrest, she was given 60 days, and for breaking her restraining order, she got 150 days. The judge also was told how her husband was seeking a divorce and said the divorce will be handled after her jail sentence. Upon her release, she is to be transferred to her next of kin to stay there under ankle monitor until the divorce trial. My autistic coworker just cried in my arms. Saddest day ever. Today my coworker walked into work, and he kept hovering around my desk, but looking really gloomy. And I mean like cartoon gloomy, hanging his head and whimpering. So I asked him, "What's up, Brian? Have you eaten?" He suddenly got down onto the floor by my desk and actually started to cry. He told me his cat, who has been with him since he was 11, Brian is in his 30s, died today, and that was his last living family member. I immediately put my arms around him, and this poor man just curled up in like an almost fetal position and sobbed in my arms like he's never ever cried his whole life. He kept repeating, "Kitty's gone, and I don't have Kitty anymore." I toughed it out and didn't cry the whole time, including when I and another coworker walked him home, and my other coworker stayed with Brian to have dinner and watch a movie with him, because he knows Brian likes Pokemon, and he likes Pokemon too. But I'm at home and bawling my eyes out too. That was genuinely the saddest thing I have ever had to do. Poor Brian. He must have loved that cat so much. Neighbors said my driveway was public parking. I came home late one evening and found a random car parked across my driveway, completely blocking my garage. At first, I thought maybe it was a delivery driver or someone who got lost, so I knocked on my neighbor's door to ask if they knew whose car it was. Turns out it was his son's. My neighbor casually says, "Yeah, he parks there sometimes. It's just a driveway. Not like it's your private property." Excuse me? The concrete slab directly connected to my house that I shovel in the winter, pay taxes for, and need to access my garage somehow. That's public parking? When I told him he needed to move the car because I literally couldn't get in, he rolled his eyes and muttered, "You're being dramatic. It's just one night stand." Asterisk, he acted like I was the entitled one for asking to use my own driveway. Needless to say, the car was gone after a little back and forth, but now I'm keeping an eye out. I can't believe some people genuinely think they're owed space on your property just because it's convenient for them. I don't understand why my girl, who is a freaking angel, has to go through so much crap. Just venting here. Gonna be long. My girlfriend of 3 years is 25F, and she's genuinely an angel. I have known her since we were 4 and 5. From the start, she was sweet as can be. I know I'm biased, but you really don't meet many people like her. But yet the person who puts the most good into the world seems to get the least out of it, and it starts right from her childhood. When she was 4, her mom became very ill. She then passed when she was 15. Less than a month later, her dad had a new girlfriend. My girl then went on her dad's work computer to print schoolwork and had to find albums of her father out for dinner, on weekend trips, cheating for years while her mother was ill. He had them all thinking he was working so hard to help pay for the medical stuff. She called them out and they kicked her out. So at 16, she moved into a car. When she lived in her car, she said the scariest/worst parts were bad storms and getting her period and having no access to pain management and period products. She could have just been mad at the world, but now she makes care packages for the women's shelter/homeless women with all the stuff she was missing. Oh, and she also started a Facebook page in her hometown for people to post if their pets are missing/what areas/what they like, and for 7 years has spent free time helping people find them. She has successfully found like 7 or 8 dogs and a few cats. All because she said if she was scared of the storm, she worries about lost pets out in the storm too. She's always there for everyone, especially her friends, and I will never understand why they leave her out so much. It was her 25th birthday on Friday, which prompted this post. Tonight was supposed to be girls' night. She set up the whole living room/kitchen, baked all her friends' favorite cakes. Literally all 6 got their own special cake. None showed up. Not one of them. All texted with excuses last minute. I can almost guarantee they are at a bar, because she is the only one who doesn't drink. They have in the past pressured her to go out when she invited them over and always ask her to drive them around when they're drinking. She is genuinely such a sweetheart. I told her I was having a bad day at work, and she showed up to my office 2 hours later with fresh baked cookies. She laid all the chocolate chips out in smiley faces. She does stuff like this for everyone whenever she can, but nobody does it for her. Except me, of course, LOL. She also works so hard but consistently is knocked down. She can never seem to get anywhere at all in her career, which thankfully I can support both of us financially, but it's more about her passion. She has so much to give and no one will give her a shot, and I don't get it. It just drives me crazy, but she deserves good things. But bad things just follow her. Her brother is on drugs, and he's violent and angry constantly, and every time she tries to visit, he ends up screaming in her face and making her cry. Her grandma has dementia and doesn't know who she is. Obviously, her dad doesn't reach out, and that's all she had after her mom passed. She recently got diagnosed with PMDD and is suffering. Hardly anything is working, and it's just the little things that constantly seem to go wrong. All she wanted for her birthday was this specific pink floral dress. We order it, comes in on the day, and they accidentally sent XL, and she's XS. Too late to get resent. She had a big audition recently, and of course, out of all the girls invited, she's the only one the casting director forgot to send script to. She called her agent like 4 times that day and got it 30 minutes prior because the CD was busy. Everyone else had over 24 hours to prep, and she had 30 minutes. Like seriously, why can't something good just happen to her? All she has is me. I don't believe any of her friends are true friends. I can see she's starting to wear down a bit. She has always been so positive and motivated, and I can see that's changing. I don't want her to change. Entitled guest threatened my career over pasta at a charity event. I'm a 32F chef. I work in a restaurant, but also get hired for big events, weddings, galas, fundraisers. These jobs aren't like restaurant service. Everything is decided weeks before. The menu, portions, prep. We don't just freestyle dishes for whoever asks, because it throws off service and breaks contract. Anyway, I was running plating at a charity gala last 2 weeks ago when this woman, maybe mid-40s, dripping in designer clothes, waves me over and demands truffle pasta. It wasn't on the menu. I told her politely the menu was set and I couldn't make her something different. She didn't hesitate to get angry immediately. Told me a real chef makes what the guest wants, then added, "You're just the help with a fancy knife set. Don't act like you're above me." That one hurt more than I expected. I've been in kitchens over a decade. I've worked insane hours, burned myself, lost sleep, dealt with constant stress. And she boiled all of that down to just the help. But I bit my tongue and kept working. She didn't stop, though. She kept coming back to me during service, complaining louder each time. At one point, she cornered me, telling me I'd ruined the vibe and that she'd make sure I never worked another gala again. People actually overheard because she was raising her voice. I felt so small, like I wanted to disappear. It got heated enough that my sous chef had to step in. Thankfully, the event coordinator had my back. They told her straight up I was doing my job as contracted and she was out of line. Still, word got back to me later that she's been talking trash about me to people in that same social circle, calling me uncooperative and difficult. And our business reputation is everything. So even though I know I did nothing wrong, it's terrifying that one entitled person can do real damage. And know what's wild? This was a charity gala. She was there to support a cause, but lost her mind over not getting custom pasta. Customer insisted on getting a special deal for no reason. I was at a local coffee shop when a customer demanded a discount because she felt like it. I politely explained that our prices were fixed and that we don't do special deals for moods. She argued for a few minutes and even asked to speak to the manager, who gave the same answer. Eventually, she left without buying anything. It's frustrating when people expect the world to bend to their whims. My wife may never walk again. My pregnant wife works in the medical field. Got a call a couple days ago that she hurt herself and her arms were hurting and starting to go numb. She said she talked to her DR and was waiting for them to call back. I told her let me know if I needed to come get her or not. An hour later, she says they told her it is probably nothing, but she wanted to go home. I go to pick her up, and when I get there, she's in tears and can't move her arms and can't feel/move her fingers. As we walk outside, I told her we're going to ER. We get to ER, and between work and ER, she can no longer feel her legs, and they're uncontrollably spasming every 3 to 5 seconds. They call Med Alert or something like that. Crew, and they lift her out of the car and onto a stretcher. We go inside, and they check her out and do ultrasound and say baby is fine, strong heartbeat. A couple hours later, they get her into an MRI and check out her spine, C and T. The results come back, clear with no visible signs of damage. We've been here for 36 hours, and they are clueless, neurologist's exact word, as to what is going on. She can't feel or move anything below her chest. She can move her arms up to her wrists, but can't move her fingers. No twitch, no squeeze, or anything else. The doctor is saying she doesn't think it will be lasting, but she can't guarantee anything. At this time, I'm terrified and beyond scared that she may not walk again or have any use of her extremities. I'm trying to stay calm and strong for her, but when she sleeps, I find myself, more often than not, in tears. I walked downstairs and broke down talking to a stranger, and he stopped me and gave me a hug, and I couldn't help but cling to him, probably longer than you would have liked. If you're a praying person, please send one our way. Updates. We discussed GBS with a neurologist, and doctor both agreed to rule it out. Their reasoning was this was rapidly onset, not gradually. It also started in her hands/arms and later moved to her legs/feet. GBS generally starts over time, in the feet first, and then works upwards. I asked about transverse myelitis. They ruled it out also, but don't remember the reasoning. They're performing a lumbar MRI currently. The neurologist wanted to get a complete picture of everything to help rule things out. He also ordered a LP to rule out things like meningitis. Apologies for the short update. I only had a few minutes to write this out. I'll update again as I get more info. My hag of a stepmom gave away my PlayStation while I was away in college. So I rent out her house while she was on her honeymoon with her newest husband. I have been reading lots of Reddit lately, especially entitled parents, but made a new account when I came across this page. I never thought I'd actually try to contribute something. Until now, Reddit has just been my guilty morning coffee read. So here goes. I'm an only son. My mom died of ovarian cancer at only 55 5 years ago. It broke my dad's heart. They had been together since college and were the same age, with my dad being a month older. I'm 22 and am about to graduate college with my degree in chemistry when the main events start to occur. I went to college on a full ride scholarship. This is important later. My dad met my now stepmom when she was my mom's nurse at the hospital where she spent her final days. My stepmom, Grace, played all the right notes to gain my dad's trust. She was empathetic to him, nurturing, comforting after my mom passed. I was 17 and old enough to sense that she was just trying to weasel her way into getting my dad's resources, but it was up to my dad if he wanted to be in a relationship with her. I was in my final year of public school and had just won a scholarship to attend college out of the country the following year. My dad mourned my mom for a year, and that whole time Grace would check in on him by phone every month or so, in my opinion, to scope out the possibility of sinking her hooks in him. After a year passed, Grace took the gloves off and went hard after my dad. Grace was only 40 when she and my dad started seeing each other. I didn't like her, but at the same time, my dad at least didn't seem so depressed anymore. So I tried to be less pessimistic about her and give her the benefit of the doubt. In my gut, I didn't trust her, though. But we are Scandinavian, and at least in my family, the son does not tell his father what to do or even offer any opinion. Grace is from the Czech Republic, if you're wondering. My father was a very successful banker during his career and amassed quite a portfolio of wealth. I'll spare you the details, but after 6 months of dating, Grace and my father are married. My dad never really got over my mom, though, and he was getting weaker and weaker, even though he was only 57. Since his health was fading, he called me to him and asked me point blank, "Boy, what do you need to set you up in this life?" I told him I don't need anything. I'm a man and can take care of myself, but what are you even talking about, Dad? You're going to be around for decades yet. I did remind him that he had living sisters with children, my aunts and cousins. I also reminded him that I had a full scholarship to college, so don't worry about giving me any cash. He was dead only a year later at 59. I, of course, have seen lots of Hollywood movies, so I consider the conspiracy theory that maybe my dad's nurse wife poisoned him and made him sign over all his money to her. But I really honestly do not think that's what happened. Other relatives didn't like Grace either, but they knew my dad was totally in love with my mom and that her death utterly broke him. Well, long story short, my dad bequeathed his 5-bedroom house to me, even though I wasn't expecting it and didn't ask for it. He gave a small endowment to each of his sisters and their children. He left about 80% of all his existing money to Grace, which amounted to several hundreds of thousands of dollars. My dad ignored me because he's generous to a fault and still gave me several tens of thousands of dollars, which were, of course, very useful to me. Grace tried to put on a friendly front, but I could tell she was angry as hell that she didn't get my dad's house, too. That belonged to me, and I had the legal papers to prove it. She was especially mad because we live in an extremely upscale and trendy location, and houses are hard to come by and easily sold for massive profit. During the first few months after my dad's death, I had the nauseating, creepy experience of knowing that Grace was trying to feel me out to see if I might be into a little relationship with her. Gross. She still stayed at the house, though, because over the last 3 years she had gotten used to living there and acting like she owned it. And even though I officially owned it, I was always away at college and only visited my dad's old house once every couple of months, and even then it wasn't to see Grace, but to see my cousins who lived just a few miles away. I downplayed the fact that it was really my house, and over the months, I think Grace gradually forgot that she really had no legal right to the house. She probably believed that sooner or later, because I never asked her for any of the hundreds of thousands of my dad's dollars that she now had, that I was somehow independently wealthy and would just give up my house to her. I knew I'd eventually hydrogen bomb this *TCH when she started dating some new guy only 5 months after my dad was in the ground. And one time, when I came home from college after graduating, she and her new boyfriend, some sleazy-looking D-bag named Ivan, who was only a few years older than me, were acting like I was a guest in my own house and that they owned it. I played along. Grace told me she gave away my PlayStation 4 to Ivan's cousin because I'm too old to play with video games. I don't even know this Motherf *her, and you give him my PS4 to give away to some other *T, who I also don't know? I quickly changed all my network passwords that same day. I smiled, but I knew what I had to do eventually. She also said that she and Ivan were getting married because I just can't mourn your father forever. I have to move on with life. I tell her that I graduated college and already secured employment with a local firm, and will soon find a new place to live. She looks thrilled, especially the part where it looks like I'll soon have a new place to live. Then in a patronizing way she tells me, "You always have a place in our house, though. You are welcome to stay whenever you please." Thanks, Grace. Really generous of you. What I really say is that I will probably have a new place in 3 months. She says that is wonderful, because she intends to go to her homeland to have a wedding with Ivan and afterward have her honeymoon. She assures me it's a local affair, otherwise I'd invite you, honey. And anyway, I know you're so busy. I congratulate her. She asked me if I can watch the house for her. Watch my own house? Sure. What I really say is, of course, I will take care of the house. I am careful to not say your house. She and her D-bag fiancé, who I am 100% sure is only there for Grace's money, go on their trip, and I immediately put out advertisements in rental websites offering to lease my house. I hire movers and have all of Grace's furniture and possessions boxed up and put into a storage rental facility. I retain all of my parents' furniture that they had before my dad met Grace. Locks? Changed. All of them. Within days, I am inundated with dozens of inquiries regarding my amazing, furnished house with fantastic views. I rent it to a wonderful young family, a barrister and a schoolteacher wife and their 2 preteen children. They pay me their first and last month's rent and sign a lease for a year. I warn them about my crazy stepmom who thinks this is her house, but I present them with contact information to my lawyer, the same lawyer my dad retained, in case they need any assurance that I'm on the level. I also give my lawyer the information about the storage facility, including the fact that I generously paid 4 months of storage in advance, which is a whole month longer than Grace's Czech honeymoon adventure. I then found a great apartment in the city near my new place of work. There I met a woman in a restaurant I frequent at night after a long workday. We have been dating 6 months now and are engaged to be married. Grace, of course, tried to shriek and cause trouble when she realized she got kicked out of my house, but my lawyer quickly shut her mouth without my having to ever speak to her garbage face again. From what I hear, her and her trash husband left the country, and I assume they're blowing through my dad's money and will soon be broke like chavs usually become when they taste a little bit of what they think is the good life. So maybe Grace will go and try to exploit some other lonely man into giving her his money. Speaking of money, the house that I rent out is generating so much money that I not only am able to help pay for my cousin's college, but I moved into a larger apartment of my own together with my fiancée. I love my job, but really, I could survive solely on renting my dad's old house. And to think, if Grace had only been cooler and nicer, I might have let her stay at the house, just to be a good sport. And definitely if she stayed the hell out of my room. But no, she had to act all proprietary, so I had to make her homeless as a wedding gift. Postscript. I bought another PS4, even though I didn't even use my old one that much. It didn't matter. It wasn't for Grace to give away. You don't give away other people's things. You give away your own things, which is why I chose to kick Grace out of my house. Because it's mine, and I decide who stays there. I hate my lying influencer neighbor. My neighbor is an influencer who makes her money selling an image, but it's all a lie. Her socials show her as a humble mother living a small country life. She has a small home, some land, amazing views, and a lovely old farmhouse. People always comment about how she makes it look easy, and she'll say something like all things are possible with God. People look at her page, and it definitely makes it seem like being a mother to 8 kids and running a farm is easy. She even homeschools all of her kids. I see mothers in the comments stating that they can barely do it with 3. They don't know how she does it. She says you just need to have faith, and God will give you the strength. That is hard work, but a humble life is important. Anyway, she lives on a $2 to something $1 million property, while she owns a second house twice that size on the coast. Her photos are very strategically taken to make the rooms look small. She has live-in nannies. All of her children have tutors, a cleaning staff. They have people who work the farm and care for the animals, and all the photos of her on the land with the old farmhouse in the distance. That house, that's my house in the background. She's even flown drones over my property, video that shows up in her pages acting like it's hers. We fit the poor, humble homestead look, I guess, where her house screams money, so you never see it on her socials. I get that she's selling an image and not a reality. But I dislike dishonesty, and I hate that it feels like we are almost complicit. I hate seeing moms in the comments saying I think they want a homestead, but they're worried they can't handle it, and her telling them it's not as hard as they would think and suggest they buy her oils to have more energy or help with fatigue. So they too can have a life like hers. It just gives me the ick so much, and I hate to hate anyone, but I hate it. I think I ruined what was supposed to be the best year of my life. I hate myself so fucking much and I can't stop crying. M19. I've always wanted to join the military ever since I was a kid. I remember being bullied for it, and 8 years later I made it, and I became the first from my family to join the military besides my grandfather and my parents, family, friends. We're all so proud. During that time, I'd come out of a traumatic relationship, and immediately, being an idiot, got attached to another girl, but it was also because she shared the same hardship with me, and she'd self-harm, and I really wanted to be there for her. Instead of delaying my training date, I went on with it and go through training being attached to something outside that was not really stable. I told the instructors if anything happened with her, I'd leave just to be there for her. Over time, it became worse and worse, her mental health, and I decided to leave to be there for her, and I did. My parents were heartbroken, and my mom told me she saw my dad broke down in tears for the first time in their marriage, knowing his only son had given up his dream for a girl. I was selfish and said I knew better than them. I broke their hearts, the people who supported my journey all the way for a girl I'd known for only a few months. I met her online on a game, and she was from another nearby country, but I went to her after I left, and the first few days were good. It quickly deteriorated, and she started blaming me for everything out of sudden and treat me like I was nothing. In the end, we broke up, and I was left so broken I became alcoholic. Even till now, I'm still craving alcohol, but I'm in a country that doesn't really allow it at the moment. I try to recover by traveling everywhere, and I try to fix things with her, but it didn't work, so I tried to commit just 2 months ago. I still feel like it every day. I try to find a reason to live. I'm so fucking miserable, and I try to recover, but I can't. I try new things, talk to new girls, nothing worked. Today, I was video calling a girl I thought was really similar to me in personality and stuff. I was so happy. We literally had a lot of fun, and we're supposed to meet as she lived near me in my home country. Guess what? No explanation, no nothing. She blocked me everywhere right after we called after knowing each other for a while and openly admitting we like each other. Fuck my life so much. I can't seem to get anything right. I dumped my childhood dream, which was giving me so much money and a better life. I'm back at a place I do not like that I tried to escape so badly. Even traveling or being away doesn't help. I tried applying for a civilian job for the first time, and I can't seem to get any because I have no qualifications whatsoever or experience. Military was my first job. I try to find a purpose or some motivation, but I just can't. Every day feels like it's a struggle, and I feel stuck. Can't get a job, stuck somewhere shitty, can't get a girl, I have no friends at all now, and every time I always realize that I'm miserable. I'm sorry. The extremely unlikely adventures of Dave, the delivery guy. Chapter 1. The Wrong Turn. Dave didn't consider himself special. He wasn't particularly tall, muscular, or brave. His greatest achievement in life so far was managing to eat 2 entire burritos in under 3 minutes to win a bet. He was just Dave, a delivery guy for quick drop parcels, a company that was neither quick nor good at dropping parcels in the right place. On a Tuesday morning, the kind of Tuesday morning where even coffee felt too tired to do its job, Dave was driving his beat-up white van across town with a single mission: deliver a package to Mrs. Henderson, 43 Pine Street. That's when his GPS spoke. Turn left in 100 feet. Dave frowned. Left? That's not right. He glanced at the screen. It was glowing weirdly, like someone had set the brightness to nuclear sun. The voice repeated, firmer this time, turn left. Now, Dave squinted out the windshield. The only left was a dirt path that definitely wasn't on any city map. It was marked with a crooked sign that read, absolutely do not enter. No deliveries. Seriously, Dave pulled over. Okay, this seems like a bad idea. Mrs. Henderson's house is literally straight ahead. The GPS hissed like a cat in a toaster. Then it spoke in a tone Dave didn't like one bit. Do you want to get fired, Dave? Dave blinked. Excuse me. Do you want to get fired? Dave swallowed. He had no idea why, but suddenly the threat felt real. Like the GPS knew about his manager, Mr. Crenshaw, who once threatened to replace Dave with a robot drone that won't eat hot Cheetos in the van. So, against every ounce of better judgment, Dave muttered, fine, but if I get murdered by forest goblins, I'm blaming you. And he turned left. The dirt road stretched ahead, lined with trees that looked like they hadn't seen sunlight since dinosaurs roamed. His van bounced over potholes big enough to swallow a small child. The package in the back thudded with every bump. After about 5 minutes, Dave began to regret every decision he had ever made in his life. And then he saw it. At the end of the road was a massive, ivy-covered gate. Beyond it, what looked like a crumbling castle. His GPS chimed cheerfully. "You have arrived at your destination. Please deliver the package to Lord Thistlewick III." Dave slammed the brakes so hard his half-eaten burrito launched into the windshield. "Lord, what now?" The GPS purred. "Lord Thistlewick III. And don't keep him waiting." Dave stared at the gate, then at the package in the back. He wasn't sure what terrified him more, the haunted-looking castle or the thought of losing his minimum wage job. With a long sigh, he unbuckled his seatbelt. "All right, Dave," he muttered. "Time to see if haunted castles tip in cash." And with that, he grabbed the package and walked toward the gate. Chapter 2. Lord Thistlewick III. The gate creaked open all by itself, which, in Dave's opinion, was never a good sign. Gates that opened themselves usually led to one of three things: ghosts, lawsuits, or someone asking if you've accepted the Dark Lord into your heart. Dave stepped through cautiously, clutching the cardboard box like a makeshift shield. The castle loomed ahead, gray and mossy, with windows that looked suspiciously like they were glaring at him. Crows circled the tallest tower, cawing in a way that sounded almost like "don't go in." "Yup," Dave muttered. "Definitely goblins. Or worse, a cult." He trudged up to the massive front doors, which were carved with fancy swirls and, weirdly enough, what looked like a chicken wearing a crown. He reached for the knocker, but before his hand could touch it, the doors flew open. Standing there was, well, a butler, but not the usual kind. This butler was 7 feet tall, had skin the color of moldy parchment, and eyes that glowed faintly red. He bowed stiffly. "Welcome, Mr. Dave. His lordship is expecting you." Dave blinked. "He is—" The butler nodded. "Of course. No one escapes the GPS. Right?" Dave said slowly, deciding not to ask. I just have a package." He held up the box like proof that he wasn't here for a seance. The butler stepped aside. "This way." Inside, the castle was a weird mix of spooky and oddly cozy. Candlelit chandeliers dripped wax onto velvet carpets. Suits of armor lined the hall, except a few were missing heads or arms. A massive portrait of a cat wearing a monocle stared down at Dave as he walked. Finally, the butler led him into a grand dining hall. At the head of the table sat a man dressed in a velvet robe, wearing a powdered wig that looked like it hadn't been washed since the 1700s. "Ah!" the man cried, leaping to his feet. "The delivery boy has arrived." Dave blinked. Yep, that's me. Dave the delivery guy. Here's your package." He set the box on the table. The man clapped his hands. "Marvelous. At last, my destiny has arrived." Dave scratched his head. "Destiny? It's literally a cardboard box. Might be socks. Could be vitamins. Could be socks and vitamins if you're into healthy ankles." The man ignored him, tearing open the box with the dramatic flair of someone unwrapping Excalibur. Inside was a rubber chicken, bright yellow, squeaky. The man gasped as if he had been handed the crown jewels. He lifted the chicken high above his head. "Behold, the sacred fowl returns to Lord Thistlewick III." Dave stared. "Dude, that a $5 gag toy from a joke shop." Lord Thistlewick whirled toward him, eyes blazing. "Silence. This artifact has been in my family for generations. With it, I shall reclaim my throne." Dave raised a hand. "Quick question. Throne of what?" "The local chicken coop." The butler hissed. Thistlewick's wig nearly fell off as he pointed dramatically. "You dare mock the prophecy? You, delivery boy, have been chosen to join my quest." Dave took a cautious step back. "Okay, no. I'm just here to drop boxes and maybe steal mints from the front desk. Quests are above my pay grade." But before he could leave, the GPS in his pocket buzzed. "Dave," it whispered. "Stay. This is only the beginning." Dave groaned. "Oh, fantastic. My GPS is in on it too." And so, against every ounce of sanity, Dave found himself sitting at a long, creepy dining table while a possibly insane lord stroked a rubber chicken like it was a priceless relic. Chapter 3. The Quest of the Sacred Fowl. Lord Thistlewick slammed the rubber chicken onto the dining table with a squeak so loud it echoed off the stone walls. "This, my good man," Thistlewick declared, "is the sacred fowl of destiny. With it, I shall finally overthrow the tyrant who has usurped my birthright." Dave blinked. Birthright of what, exactly? "The kingdom of Featherwick." Thistlewick cried. "Is that a real place, or did you just make that up?" The butler hissed like a boiling kettle. Thistlewick raised the chicken dramatically. "You question the prophecy." Dave held up both hands. "Look, I'm just trying not to get written up at work, all right? My manager thinks a clipboard is a personality. If I don't get back on time, I'll get another lecture about delivery integrity." But the GPS in his pocket buzzed again. "Dave," it whispered, "you must go with them." Dave groaned. "Seriously? You're siding with Wigman and his squeaky bird?" The GPS said nothing, but Dave swore it gave off a smug glow. The butler suddenly shoved a cloak around Dave's shoulders. "There, you are now the delivery knight, sworn to protect the sacred fowl." Dave looked down at himself. The cloak was clearly a moth-eaten shower curtain. "Yeah, this screams professional knight to me. Super intimidating." Thistlewick leaned in close, eyes blazing. "Delivery knight, you must accompany me on my journey. Together, we shall reclaim my throne, restore my honor, and finally, shut up Gerald." "Gerald?" Dave asked. "My neighbor," Thistlewick thundered. "Always mocking me, always mowing his lawn at dawn. He must be vanquished." Dave rubbed his temples. "So let me get this straight. You want me to risk my life, in wherever, so you can get revenge on your HOA neighbor?" "Exactly," Dave sighed. He thought about the alternative, going back to his job, where Crenshaw would yell at him for misdelivering a package to apartment 3B instead of 3A. At least here, the worst that could happen was death by medieval cosplay. "Fine," Dave muttered, "but I'm not fighting anyone before I've had lunch." "Splendid," Thistlewick cried, squeezing the rubber chicken triumphantly. "Our quest begins at dawn." Dave looked at the dark windows. "It's already dawn. Then we ride immediately." "Ride what?" Thistlewick grinned. "The steeds await." Outside the castle, tied to a crooked post, were two donkeys. One looked half asleep. The other was chewing on the gate. Dave stared. "Seriously? They are noble beasts," Thistlewick said proudly, climbing onto the half-asleep one. The butler handed Dave a rope. His donkey immediately sneezed on him. "Yeah," Dave muttered, wiping donkey snot off his jacket. "This is exactly how I picture my Tuesday." And with that, the most unlikely quest in history began. One eccentric lord, one skeptical delivery guy, one butler with glowing eyes, and a rubber chicken that squeaked with every step of the donkey. Chapter 4. The First Stop. The donkeys clopped down the dirt road at a pace so slow Dave could have walked faster backward. Every few steps, Thistlewick would hold the rubber chicken aloft like it was leading them to glory. It squeaked each time the wind shifted, which really killed the whole majestic quest vibe. "Where exactly are we going?" Dave finally asked, bouncing uncomfortably on his donkey. "To the Tavern of Eternal Wisdom," Thistlewick declared. "There, the seer of snacks shall guide us." Dave frowned. "The seer of snacks?" "Yes," Thistlewick said proudly. "A being of infinite knowledge, who accepts only one form of payment. Nachos." Dave groaned. "Of course. Why wouldn't it be nachos?" After about an hour, and 3 donkey-related near-death experiences, they reached a crooked wooden building with a flickering neon sign that read, "Ye Old Snack Bar and Prophecies." Inside, the tavern smelled like stale popcorn and regret. A handful of very tired-looking adventurers sat at tables, sipping from mugs labeled Unlimited Refills, 1 gold coin. Behind the counter stood the seer, an old woman wearing sparkly sunglasses and a giant sombrero. She stirred a bubbling cauldron of cheese dip with frightening intensity. Thistlewick dropped to one knee. "O wise seer, we seek your wisdom." The seer didn't look up. "Do you have nachos?" Thistlewick turned to the butler. The butler produced a paper tray of nachos from somewhere. Dave decided not to ask. The seer's sunglasses glowed. She plucked a single chip from the tray, held it to the light, and whispered, extra cheese. Your future will be spicy. Dave raised an eyebrow. That's your prophecy? Spicy. The seer pointed at him dramatically, nearly flinging cheese across the room. You doubt the seer of snacks? Dave held up his hands. No, of course not. I totally believe nacho-based fortune-telling is the most reliable system. Way more accurate than my horoscope app. The seer nodded, satisfied. Then she leaned in close to Thistlewick. To reclaim your throne, she intoned, you must pass 3 trials. The trial of courage, the trial of wisdom, and the trial of... She paused for dramatic effect. Karaoke? Dave nearly fell off his stool. Karaoke? That's a trial now. The seer shrugged. Hey, it destroys more souls than any battlefield. Thistlewick bowed low. We accept your trials, noble seer. Dave groaned into his nachos. Oh good, just what I needed. A death sentence by off-key singing. The seer slammed her ladle into the cheese dip. And so it is written, the first trial awaits you in the forest of mild inconvenience. Dave muttered, that sounds like my entire life. Thistlewick grinned. Onward, delivery night. The sacred fowl shall guide us. The rubber chicken squeaked in agreement. Dave shoveled the rest of the nachos into his mouth. I already regret everything. Chapter 5. The Forest of Mild Inconvenience. The Forest of Mild Inconvenience wasn't terrifying. It wasn't even particularly creepy. It was just annoying. The moment Dave stepped inside, his shoe got stuck in some mud. Not deep mud, just enough to make a gross squelch sound and soak his socks. Brilliant, Dave muttered, yanking his foot free. Branches hung too low, constantly poking him in the face. The path twisted just enough to trip him every 30 seconds. And, worst of all, there was an endless swarm of mosquitoes that ignored Thistlewick and the butler, but treated Dave like a free buffet. Why are they biting me and not you guys? Dave swatted at his neck. Thistlewick, riding smugly on his donkey, raised the rubber chicken. Because you, delivery night, are chosen. The sacred fowl has deemed your blood the tastiest. The chicken squeaked, as if in agreement. Dave groaned. Fantastic. The prophecy is basically mosquitoes love this guy. The butler suddenly stopped walking. His glowing eyes narrowed. We have arrived at the trial of courage. Dave looked around. What here? It's just trees. The ground shook. From behind a bush emerged a squirrel. A perfectly ordinary, fluffy-tailed squirrel. Except this one wore a tiny golden crown and carried a toothpick like a spear. It chattered furiously at Dave. Thistlewick gasped. The Squirrel King, guardian of the first trial. Dave blinked. You've got to be kidding me. The Squirrel King leapt onto a stump, puffing out his chest. He squeaked in a voice so high-pitched it sounded like a rubber balloon being let go. The butler translated solemnly. He demands single combat. Dave's eyes widened. What? Me versus a squirrel? That's not courage. That's pest control. Thistlewick wagged a finger. Do not underestimate him. The Squirrel King has defeated many knights with his fury. The Squirrel King twirled his toothpick menacingly. Dave rubbed his temples. This is my life now. Fighting rodents for honor. He crouched down, ready to shoo the squirrel away. But before he could, the creature darted forward with lightning speed, whacking Dave's shoe with its toothpick. Ow! That actually stung. Dave yelped, hopping backward. The squirrel chattered triumphantly. Fight back, delivery night. Thistlewick cried. Dave glanced around. He had no sword, no shield, only the snack bag he'd stuffed in his jacket pocket. With a sigh, he pulled out a peanut butter granola bar. Here, your majesty, Dave said, tossing it on the ground. The Squirrel King froze. He sniffed the bar. Then, with a squeak of pure joy, he scooped it up and scampered away into the trees. The butler's eyes glowed brighter. You have passed the trial of courage. Dave blinked. Wait, that counts. I didn't fight him. Courage is not always about violence, Thistlewick said gravely. Sometimes it is about knowing when to share your snacks. The rubber chicken squeaked like applause. Dave shook his head. This quest is ridiculous. Onward, Thistlewick declared, pointing dramatically toward the trees. The trial of wisdom awaits. Dave groaned. Wisdom? Oh, I'm definitely failing that one. Chapter 6. The Trial of Wisdom. The forest of mild inconvenience thinned into a small clearing. In the center stood a rickety wooden table. On the table sat a single jigsaw puzzle box. Dave squinted. Oh no. No, no, no. Please don't tell me this is the Trial of Wisdom. Thistlewick nodded solemnly. Indeed, the puzzle of eternal insight. None may proceed without solving it. Dave walked closer and picked up the box. The picture on the front was of a duck wearing sunglasses and riding a skateboard. The title read, Extreme Cool Duck 1,000 Pieces. Dave groaned. This is my nightmare. Do you know how long 1,000-piece puzzles take? Days. Weeks. I don't even have the attention span for a crossword. The butler's glowing eyes flickered. You must complete it before sundown, or the quest fails. Dave looked at the sky. The sun was already halfway down. Great. Perfect. Nothing like extreme puzzle stress to really spice up a Tuesday. Thistlewick pulled a chair from somewhere Dave didn't even ask anymore, and sat grandly. Worry not, delivery night. I shall supervise. Dave muttered, yeah, because nothing screams helpful like a guy in a wig eating trail mix. He dumped the pieces onto the table. They scattered everywhere. The donkeys immediately started trying to eat the corner pieces. Dave spent the next 20 minutes flipping every piece right side up. His frustration level hit critical mass around piece number 47. This isn't a trial of wisdom, he snapped. This is a trial of who has the patience of a saint. Thistlewick leaned in. Patience is wisdom. Dave pointed at him. Patience is also how people get conned into pyramid schemes, so I'm not sure I buy that. The butler suddenly loomed over the table. His glowing eyes narrowed. You are missing something. Dave frowned. What? No, I've got all the pieces. The butler slowly shook his head. Then he reached into Dave's jacket pocket and pulled out a puzzle piece shaped like a rubber chicken. Dave stared. Why was that in my pocket? The rubber chicken squeaked. With a sigh, Dave fit the chicken-shaped piece into the puzzle. Immediately, the puzzle glowed, the pieces snapping together on their own. In less than 5 seconds, the full image of Extreme Cool Duck appeared. The seer of Snack's voice echoed faintly through the trees. Gnarly. The glow faded. The puzzle box vanished. Thistlewick leapt to his feet. The trial of wisdom is complete. Dave slumped in his chair. I literally did none of that. The puzzle solved itself. Ah, Thistlewick said, patting his shoulder. True wisdom lies in letting others do the work. The rubber chicken squeaked again, as if to say yep. Dave buried his face in his hands. I hate this quest so much. Come, delivery night. Thistlewick cried. Only one more trial remains. The trial of karaoke. Dave groaned so loudly it scared a bird out a nearby tree. Chapter 7. The Trial of Karaoke. The forest of mild inconvenience gave way to a strange clearing bathed in glowing light. In the middle stood a wooden stage, complete with velvet curtains, disco ball, and 2 giant stone speakers carved with runes. A neon sign flickered overhead. Trial of Karaoke, 1 night only. Dave stopped dead. Nope, absolutely not. I don't sing. Not in the shower, not in the car, and definitely not in front of you weirdos. Thistlewick's wig fluttered dramatically in the breeze. Delivery night. This is the most sacred of all trials. To sing is to bare your soul. Dave pointed at the stage. To sing is to embarrass yourself in front of ancient karaoke gods. Not the same thing. The butler's eyes glowed brighter. The stage awaits. Refuse, and the sacred fowl will abandon you. The rubber chicken squeaked, almost like a warning. Before Dave could argue, the speakers boomed with a voice that rattled the trees. Welcome, contestant. Step forward and sing your song. Dave muttered under his breath. I should have stayed at my delivery job. At least there, the worst thing that happened was someone yelling about their Amazon package being late. The butler shoved him gently toward the stage. Dave stumbled up the steps. A glowing microphone appeared in his hand. The voice boomed again. Choose your song. A magical screen floated above the stage, scrolling through titles. Ballad of the Banshee. Don't Stop Believin' in Dragons. Bohemian Rhapsody. Orc Remix. Rubber Chicken Funk Anthem. Dave groaned. Are these my only options? The screen froze on the last one. Oh no, Dave whispered. Oh yes, the voice replied. The disco ball spun. The speakers blared funky bass. A beat dropped so hard Dave felt it in his bones. He clutched the mic. His palms were sweaty. Okay, I can do this. He started singing. At first, it was awkward. His voice cracked, his timing was off, and his donkey brayed in the background like an off-key backup singer. But then something strange happened. The rubber chicken on Thistlewick's lap began squeaking in rhythm. The beat synced with Dave's words. The forest itself seemed to hum along. Dave's confidence grew. He leaned into it, belting out the chorus of the ridiculous rubber chicken funk anthem. His voice wasn't good, but it was passionate. By the final note, he was practically screaming into the mic, sweat flying, hair sticking up like he'd just run a marathon. Silence. Then the forest erupted in applause. The donkeys stomped their hooves. The trees rustled like clapping hands. The seer of Snack's voice echoed faintly. Encore. The booming voice declared. The trial is complete. You have the soul of a funk warrior. The stage vanished in a flash of light. Dave stumbled back into the clearing, panting. Thistlewick clapped him on the back. Magnificent. Truly, you sang like a man possessed. Dave collapsed onto a log. I've never been more humiliated and also weirdly proud. That was awful. I think I loved it. The butler bowed. The 3 trials are complete. The path to Gerald now opens. Dave groaned. Oh great. We've done all this for a neighbor feud. The rubber chicken squeaked like a battle horn. The final stage of their ridiculous quest had begun. Chapter 8. Enter Gerald. The forest path widened until it spat them out into suburbia. Dave stopped in his tracks. Wait, this is just a cul-de-sac. Sure enough, there were neatly trimmed lawns, identical mailboxes, and one guy power washing his driveway. It was about as threatening as a pancake breakfast. Thistlewick gasped dramatically and pointed. Behold, Gerald's fortress. Dave squinted. That's a split-level ranch house with vinyl siding. The butler's eyes glowed ominously. Do not be deceived. Great evils lurk within. As if on cue, Gerald emerged from the garage, pushing a lawnmower. He wore cargo shorts, tube socks, and a baseball cap that read number 1 neighbor. Gerald waved cheerfully. Morning, Thistlewick. Nice wig. Thistlewick clutched the rubber chicken like a holy relic. Fiend, you dare mock my lineage. Gerald adjusted his cap. Nope, just complimenting the shine. Really brings out your cheekbones. Dave blinked. This is your mortal enemy? He seems normal. Gerald noticed Dave and smiled. Hey there, you must be the new pizza guy. Dave sighed. Close enough. Gerald leaned against the mower. So what's he got you doing this time? Some kind of quest again? Last month he tried to knight the mailman. Dave rubbed his temples. Wait, again? As in this happens a lot. Oh yeah, Gerald said. Thistlewick's always pulling new recruits into his little adventures. He lowered his voice. Don't take it personally. He's harmless.